The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-host and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on our live shows.
Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of This Week in Guns is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network and Patriot Patch Company.
And this show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Sean Herron, and before we get started, I just want to say thank you to our advertisers. First up, we got Patriot Patch Company. You can find them at patriotpatch.co. And honestly, if you don't have them, if you haven't bought from them, you're missing out. They've got amazing shirts, amazing patches, amazing cleaning mats, and all kinds of other great stuff. Join their Patch of the Month Club, patriotpatch.co. And next up, Manticore Arms. We couldn't do the show without them. What can I say? Just an amazing company making some awesome products. Like, how about the Transformer rail? Whether you want Picatinny, M-Lock, E-Mod, it all fits on the same rail. It's future-proof even if something else comes up. So use coupon code TWG10 at manicorearms.com. And let me go ahead and introduce our guest tonight. Welcome back, Zane Mungillo. He's host of Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review podcast. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sean.
Absolutely, man. And newcomer to the show, we've got Johnny Bragg, host of the 182nd video blog. Johnny, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. Last but not certainly not least, wow, I apparently can't talk today. We've got founding member and co-owner of Grizzly Targets, currently working on a range tour series, the Drop Zone Gunner, and other projects. Jeremy Griffin, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Glad to have you. Guys, let's get right into it and talk about Shaneen Allen. She has a message for Republicans on reciprocity. I don't know if you guys remember her. She actually, she was driving. She had a concealed carry license. She went into New Jersey, got pulled over, told the New Jersey trooper that she had it, and basically got arrested and then faced 11 and a half years in prison for possessing the legally purchased firearm. We actually had her on the We Like Shooting show, talked to her. I thought it was a pretty interesting story. She was eventually pardoned by Governor Chris Christie in 2015, and now she's actually out there campaigning for Senate Republicans to follow the House's lead and pass national reciprocity legislation. Thoughts?
Well, she's a prime example that why we need something in place for this whole reciprocity deal. Tony Simon, who is a co-host with me over on Gun and Gear Review, knows Shaneen Allen personally and has had many conversations with her. And it's, she is one of those people who really got caught up in a situation and thought she was doing nothing wrong, trying to do what she thought was right, tell the cop, hey, look, I got my concealed carry. But because of a imaginary line that she had crossed, it became a thing. So I think we do need some sort of reciprocity, and I think her testimony speaks volumes.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think the fact that it's a woman helps our cause. I mean, from a marketing standpoint, if it was a grizzled old dude from East Tennessee who looked like a typical militia member, it may be a little bit harder for this campaign. But, that's kind of funny. But, I mean, in reality, for a woman to be championing this, I think it helps all of us a little bit.
I do agree with that.
What do you guys think, though, about centralizing that decision-making into Washington, D.C.? Because that is the counter-argument to that, right?
Well, so my thoughts on this are pretty simple. If this is a workaround, like if this is like a national concealed carry license, I am totally 100% against it. But the way it reads is that it, is similar to a driver's license. And I'm totally on board with if you have a license from your state, it has to be recognized in another state. As if they start doing some sort of a national thing with national training requirements, I'm with you. No way. I do not want that much power in the national government's hands.
Do you guys think that this is the backdoor way to get to that, though? Because you got to centralize it first before you can push it down like that.
I don't.
Interesting.
I don't. I've read the bill, and it looks. The only thing I have an issue with in the bill as written is it looks like it allows for people that live in a state to get an out-of-state license, a non-resident out-of-state license to carry in the state they live in, which is not going to be a popular opinion amongst people, but that paves the way to a national license. As I feel like it should be more along the lines of a driver's license, right? So if I can't get a driver's license in Florida, where I live, because of a DUI or whatever, I should not be able to get a Georgia driver's license and then drive in Florida. But if I can have a Florida driver's license, I should certainly be allowed to drive in Florida so long as I don't live there, as long as I'm just passing through or something. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it right now, and that's kind of the way it's written. So
I think they would write it really nice right off the bat, right?
Of course.
You write it nice, you set that precedent, and then you just spend the next 10 years tweaking the shit out of it. Are we allowed to cuss on this?
Not necessarily, but the time stamp is at 6:18, Kenny.
I will make a mental note of that. I just see that's generally speaking what they do with just about everything. Right. They pass something, they set a precedent with it. It's not terrible, and then they just backtrack and manipulate over the course of the next decade. And next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, how did we end up here? Right? I mean, that's kind of their MO. That's kind of their MO, right? I mean, we're all in agreement with that. So, but then again, what good is a natural right if you don't get it from state to state?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of my thing. It's like I compare it to a driver's license, but at the same time, we have a fundamental right to bear arms, and so the fact that we even have to have a license or a permit to do so is asinine.
What is all of that to begin with? And we're just so far. We're so far down that rabbit hole at this point that I mean. Honestly, like the fact that we even are having this conversation just shows how far down that rabbit hole we've been dragged, and now we're just trying to figure out ways that we can best manipulate this freaking hideous machine that we've created. And I don't know. I mean, here's the thing: no matter what way it goes, it probably doesn't turn out well. Either state by state, it keeps getting worse and worse, and you got a handful of states that get better and better, but they'll hammer down on them eventually. Or you go national, and that turns out like shit with these people too. Like they have zero desire at this point to humor any of this as far as we go. So, and the one thing I will say too is that they have a very vested interest in allowing us to commerce back and forth and keeping the economy going and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like they like reciprocity. They like people being able to travel to a certain extent as long as you paid well, actually, you know what? They put a whole lot of rules and regulations around that too. So what am I even talking about with that one?
It's true. And, here's the thing is I've actually I've said on a couple different shows that reciprocity scares me involving the government in something like this where they want to centralize and bring all that together. And yeah, it's not written like that now, but I don't trust the government. At all.
Yeah, no. No, I think as so long as it is reciprocity amongst the licenses / permits, I think we'll come out on the better end of this, and I like it. But like both of you have mentioned, if this devolves into a nationwide carry license, I'm not on board with that at all.
Yeah. What do you do? So here's the thing, though. So let's hop a step or two ahead, right? And again, I'm not well versed enough in this topic to really I've never read the bill. I'll be very honest about that. I don't, I'm not terribly well versed in it. I understand how the mechanism of government works pretty well, though. So let's jump ahead, right, and say that we do this, and then it does turn into that. What are the options then, right?
Well, there's no going back. That's the problem,
right?
Yeah, you can't uncork or you can't recork the genie.
That machine does not go backwards, right? That machine is on a one-way race most of the time. So it's interesting. I mean, you kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't at this point. And really, until the people wake the hell up and start, trying to figure shit out on their own instead of, what we're currently doing, why would anything turn out different than it has been turning out over the last 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah, completely. All right, so the next story is from Ruger. They've introduced a pistol caliber carbine. I looked at this, practical and versatile. It takes the new Security 9 magazines, but they'll also be selling a model that takes Glock magazines. I think that's pretty interesting.
Actually, it comes with an additional magwell that switches out to take Glock magazines.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of excited about this. I have an RPR. I've got the Ruger American pistol. I love them both. So yeah, for me right now, Ruger, not doing much wrong.
Meh.
I know absolutely nothing about Ruger for the most part. Okay, so
So this is based on the 1022 action, from what it looks like, which I don't think anybody in their right mind would say that Ruger is not the champion of semi-auto 22 rifles. I mean, they led the market with their 1022 rifle. So it's based on that takedown model of that. That being said, if anyone listens to Gun and Gear Review, they'll know that I just think pistol caliber carbines are stupid. I just don't see what purpose they serve. And so while this is neat, I'm not interested.
Very interesting. Johnny, do you have any experience with pistol caliber carbines?
Absolutely. A ton of experience. It's fun. You pull the trigger, they go bang. Not much to understand. They're a lot of fun.
No, they do that.
It's not a serious gun.
They do that. Unless it's an AR platform, then they don't always do that.
I like pistol caliber carbines. Why? Ammunition portability. I think that's important. What is my purpose for it? Plinking, having fun. Into the world, zombie apocalypse style stuff. I'd be okay with that. Having a 9mm pistol, 9mm pistol caliber carbine. I'd be okay with that. Other than that, I don't know. Shooting competitions. That's fun.
It's fun to go to the range and only have to take one caliber. I think it's a lot of fun. I do that sometimes. I'll take a pistol caliber carbine and just go and blow holes in pizza boxes, but I'm not dropping magazines and seeing how fast I can go for Instagram. So I just want to have fun with my friends.
There is something to be said about that with the one caliber deal. I actually just ordered last night a stripped lower that accepts Glock mags. So I'm going to build one, and maybe I'll change my opinion in the future. But as of right now,
hang on. You just said after all, you just said, right. I don't know what I don't know what the appeal is, but right, I just ordered one.
No, so I'm going to build one. So my thing is I'm going to build one just to see what this whole thing about them, because they're hugely popular right now.
I'm calling
feel like if I got 4 points of contact on the gun, I want a rifle round or a shotgun round coming out of it.
How long do you think it's going to take you to build that out?
Oh, at least 6 months, because I'm a procrastinator.
Nice. So I've got a couple. I mean, I've got a 10mm Chris Vector. I've got a 9mm AR that I assembled. I've got an Angstad Arms 9mm. And yeah, I think they're fun. I think, and again, like I said, Ruger's okay by me right now. The last few firearms that I've gotten from Ruger, I've loved. The
Absolutely.
Ruger American pistol, fantastic. I love that gun.
So the best thing Ruger did was two best things. First of all, they put it in the takedown model.
Yep.
Absolute brilliant. And the fact that they decided to allow it to accept Glock mags. And that caused like all kinds of turmoil among the company. They fought over that decision because the true Ruger diehardist did not want that to be a thing. But that is the most popular handgun in the country, and those mags are out there. You can get 21 round P mags for Glock 9mm for $20 all day long. So brilliant decision to allow it to accept Glock mags.
Johnny, I'll give you the last word on this one.
American made, they're cheap, they go bang when you pull the trigger. I mean, I love Ruger. It's not, it's not a lifetime heirloom gun that you're going to pass down to your grandkids should you find a woman that's willing to procreate with you. But they're pretty cool. I mean, I got no complaints against Ruger.
All right. Would you buy one of these new PCCs?
I probably wouldn't buy it, but I'll end up with one. I'm not going to spend, take food off my kid's table for it, but I will have one probably sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm with you. Guys, swatting suspect arrested in Los Angeles after his victim is killed by SWAT. So first off, does everyone know what swatting is?
Yes.
So for those who don't, who are listening, basically swatting is calling the police on somebody, saying something crazy about them, making some kind of crazy accusation. The SWAT team rolls in and pop, someone's usually dead. This did happen. 25-year-old California man was arrested in connection to an online quarrel between two Call of Duty gamers that prompted a hoax call and led to a man being killed by police in Kansas. My opinion, this is how do you even combat this? Like, the police have to take every call that they get seriously. They have to go into it assuming that it is the truth. And, obviously the guy who got the police called on him probably gonna, this is a really unexpected situation. So who knows how that's going to go? And man, it's a damn shame.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. First of all, are we taking video games that serious these days? Like, I don't play video games, but okay, wow. My 10-year-old nephew plays Call of Duty, and I don't think he's gonna like call the police on someone. But aside from that, yeah, the guy who called should absolutely be charged. But we also have to take a look at the law enforcement response here. Should they have responded? Absolutely. Right? With the information they had, it was, I want to say the guy said that he was holding like his mother hostage with a gun to her head or something. I read the article. It's been a couple days since I read the article, but at the same time, somebody pulled the trigger and probably made a poor decision to do so.
I'll read right here. When officers arrived at the scene, Finch opened the door for officers. As police told him to put his hands up, Finch moved a hand towards the area of his waistband, a common place where guns are concealed. An officer, fearing the man was reaching for a gun, fired a single shot. I mean, you have to...
Of course. Well, yeah, of course that's what they said, but I mean, this is one of those where there literally was zero threat. There may have been a perceived threat by the officer, and I'm sure there was. I'm sure the officer wasn't like, I'm just going to kill me somebody today. I'm sure that's not what happened. But at the same time, there was zero threat here. So, and I understand everybody's on edge. I don't know. This is one of those that really turns a thinking cap on and really causes a lot of emotions both ways to start flowing.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody's got to slow down, man. And again, with the way things that are going, we should probably expect more of this, not less, right?
Right. Like, you disagree with someone on the interwebs, and you just send the SWAT team to their house.
You send the SWAT team in the house, and then everybody's jumpy when they go in there. And, the whole – I was talking with somebody the other day, and I think that they said that they saw it online or whatever. It wasn't news or anything. It was a graphic or something. And somebody was saying – they said, isn't it so interesting how at the end of the 90s, we looked at the future as this – sparkling, like flying cars and pristine buildings and stuff like that. That's how we saw the future in the 90s and whatnot. You fast forward to now, and everybody sees it as a dystopian, rat-infested, you know what I mean? Like, everybody just sees nothing but decay and crap coming down the pipelines now. And like everybody does. And despite the statistics, everybody feels like the whole country's out of control and violence is out of control and there's a boogeyman under every table, and this is what you get. I mean, when you're training people and they're not, and you're training them in an environment that this is like we're all living in it, whether you're police or you're civilian or whatever, like we're all living in this environment. And I don't see that trend there slowing down anytime soon, because I think it's very effective, right? Like I was talking to this girl just this morning, and she said, well, why do they like to pump fear out? And I said, well, as long as you can keep people pretty afraid, they're not going to leave you, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, if you think there's a guy outside, if you're laying in bed with your boyfriend and you think there's a guy outside the door, chances are you're not going to tell him you want to go see somebody else at that moment, right? And all the relationships are all the same, basically, once you get down to the base level of how they function, right? So the more people are in fear, generally speaking, the more they're looking for leadership. Generally speaking, when they're desperate for leadership, the easier they are to control. Like, could you imagine if they started pumping out nothing but positive news all over the place? Just think about that. Like, all the stats were like, oh my God, gun violence went down again this year. This is incredible. And oh my goodness, look at all this great stuff. And this person saved the puppy. And I mean, it's social programming, right? Like, we would be living in a wildly different world right now.
Yeah, there's always a boogeyman. There has to be, because there has to always be a boogeyman. And that's, part of the plan. It's been that way since I've been alive in my short 31 years. But there's always been somebody or some country or some whatever that was a boogeyman. And there's never not going to be a boogeyman.
True. All right. Springfield Armory introduces the 911 380 ACP pistol. The headline there is Springfield Armory makes a Sig 238. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. It very much looks like a Sig P238.
I'm so over Springfield Armory at this point. I've just not been impressed with them over the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are upset with them about the stuff that happened with legislation, things like that in Illinois. But I don't know. I think people will buy it. I think Springfield's still got a decent reputation in the firearms world. Maybe not with people in the industry who have longer memories, but I think people will buy this. I think it's an attractive gun. I don't know how it shoots at this point. Hopefully in about a week or so, I will know. But, I think people will buy it. Johnny, have you had a chance to shoot this, and would you buy one?
I haven't had a chance to shoot it. No, I would not buy it, but I don't have some strong opinion. I think people in the firearms industry, when the whole legislation thing happened, we were all upset, but nobody in the real world was really upset, or had even heard of it. Nobody in my entire shooting circle had even heard of it. So the public doesn't care, and the ones that did care back then have a short-term memory. Yeah, I think it's going to sell. I think from a marketing standpoint, it's an embarrassment to call it the 911. I think that's shameless. And no, I won't buy it, and I probably will actively campaign against it.
Yeah. So I've shot the Sig P238, which might as well be the same thing. Small 1911 action style guns in the little bitty calibers tend to be finicky on their own. And there was a great meme that was floating around the interwebs. If you haven't seen it, you should try to find it. It was like Springfield Armory was like, yo, let me copy your homework, bro. And it's pretty funny. If you haven't seen it, you should find it. But I can't see how this is any different. And honestly, these guns sell, but they sell because people are
they sell pretty.
They sell because they're pretty, and people are uneducated. People want, I don't know. I'm not going to, anyways.
Yeah. So you're not into it, but you probably already have one on order, right?
No. I do not have one of these on order.
He's like, I'm not into it at all. However, I ordered one just to see what the craze is
just
about.
To see.
No, I definitely will not be. I'm at this point, anything Springfield Armory is not coming to my home.
All right. Next up, we've got Glock introduces their MHS candidate as the 19X. This is
Here we go.
For a while.
Here we go.
All right. So this is a 17 size frame and a 19 size slide. So it's like the reverse of what most thinking people would actually want in a concealed carry handgun.
Right. In a concealed carry handgun is the key word there.
Yeah.
So this is what the internet, oh my God, the internet made me so mad with this one over the last 2 weeks.
Now, before we go forward, what's the most popular concealed carry handgun?
19, Glock 19.
All right, perfect. And then I've got one more question. What is the most difficult part of the firearm to conceal?
In what
the
position?
box that it comes in?
the grip, in my opinion, is the hardest. It's the part that usually prints. It's the part that is the hardest to conceal. Okay, Zane, continue on.
So this is not a new concept. Has anybody ever heard of a Colt Commander?
Yes.
So this is the shorter barrel full length grip is not a new concept. So this gun is designed for the military handgun trials. So the internet's make me mad. Anyways, so when drawing a pistol from a strong side holster, you have, when you're dealing with sappy plates on the side sappies, you have length issues. The shorter you have to move the gun upwards, the quicker you can clear it from the holster. that has in the past been remedied by lowering the holster, like with drop legs, and when we've got into like tactical knee holsters for a while. In and out of vehicles, the lower you drop a gun, the more difficult it is to maneuver in and out of a vehicle. So I carry in a UBL mid-rise from Safari Land, and I'm able to full-size 17 with a light. But if I went to a low ride, I'd have to take the light off and possibly go to a 19. I also happen to know for a fact that I cannot draw a 17 with a light with side sappies from a mid-rise. So this gun was designed specifically with that in mind. And mind you, the 300 and some odd page requirement that they released for the MHS required the gun be a 17 round capacity.
All right, so
they had to have that.
Those are excellent points that I may not have considered.
Riveting. That was riveting.
It really was. There are points that I may not have considered. However, I do not want this. I do not care.
Oh, me neither. I don't want it either. But this is going to sell to. You have to think that Glock probably had it in their mind that they had this contract with the Army wrapped up, and then when Sig got it, they were all tooled up to produce thousands of these, and we're well,
yeah, this is a product that was released, and this is a product that people who follow Larry Vickers are going to buy by the gross.
This is going to be popular with cops. I think this is going to be really popular with cops because a lot of cops are not allowed to modify their guns. They can't put extended base plates, and they can't do things like that. And they want a 19 size slide so it's more comfortable in their vehicle.
Yeah,
but they can't modify any of their mags. But they want a full. This is going to be popular with cops. Concealed carry folks are going to buy it just because there's Glock fanboys out there. They're going to buy anything that Glock puts out. I'm been accused of being a Glock fanboy in the past, and I'm carrying a Glock right now, so maybe there's some truth to that. But this is not for a guy carrying appendix. It's not for you. But it has a market. And it's going to, it's going to sell.
To me, it makes sense to carry an appendix. It's got the shorter barrel, so it's not going to go down as far. It's not going to be as intrusive. That was the one use case that I could really imagine at that point. So I don't know. Guess I'm just not tremendously excited about the 19X. But yeah, those are some use cases that make sense to me. So I know they're going to sell billions of them. I know they put it out because they'd already done the dies, the tooling, and all that good stuff. So yeah.
Like I said, I don't want one. I'd be happier with a 34 because barrel length to me does not matter. For concealed carry, when I carry outside the waistband, I do actually prefer a shorter barrel though. So.
We have just had another person join us. Welcome, Natalie Foster from Girls Guide to Guns and Love It First Shot.
Hi, guys. How are you? Sorry for the delay.
No problem. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're all recovering, a little under the weather over here, but I think everybody is kind of in that same boat all over the country, right?
Oh, and we're all going to bring it to SHOT Show.
Oh, man. I know. The plague, right?
Yeah,
that's why I'm not going.
That's the reason. Okay.
All right, moving on to the next story. Natalie, you know how this goes. Just join in whenever you have something to say. California Ammo Store will continue to sell ammo despite not having the required license. All right, this is interesting to me. So we all know January 1st, 2018, basically the laws changed in California as far as ammunition sales. No more online ammunition sales. They all have to go through FFLs or licensed gun stores, things like that. However, the California Department of Justice didn't do what they needed to do to actually get any of these certificates or licenses issued. So Foothill Ammo owner Chris Pusey said that when he opens the store Tuesday, he's likely going to be breaking the law. He says, I did all my paperwork. I paid the fees. They've had time to figure this out. This is not my problem. One step further, the sheriff there says he's not going to enforce the law, and B, he's not going to let the government come in and enforce the law. It's unenforceable at this time. This is ridiculous. You put laws into place and then you have the deadlines and you don't do what needs to be done to allow businesses to operate.
Yeah, I live in California. So, we're all just rolling our eyes yet again. So frustrated with the way that this state, we're not even second-class citizens here as gun owners, right? We're well below third. And so good on him, and he's already talked to law enforcement and all of that. And it'd be a big, long legal battle and the state would lose because they haven't done what they needed to do. This is a lot like what Obama did with the tax code too. They, left accountants high and dry. This is so government. Everybody is so used to this that I think it's great for him to be defiant about it. And if a court case comes up, he's going to win. So I don't know. I say good on him for being ballsy and exercising his legal right,
And I will add to that, here in Colorado, July 1st, 2013, we had it put into place where we had 15 round magazine limits. It is now 2017. No, it is now 2018. And I can go into pretty much any store that I choose and buy a 30 round magazine right off the shelf. No problem. It's that civil disobedience. The cops aren't enforcing it. It's been enforced one time, but it was an add-on charge for other charges. And eventually that charge got dropped. It was just, to make the crime even worse for the guy who perpetrated whatever crime, and just they added it on. And, this is just more ridiculous, as like Natalie said. Anyone else have thoughts here?
California has successfully created a black market for ammo.
Oh, yeah. Well, without question. I mean, Nevada border gun stores are going to.
And here's the other thing with it. So the way it's written, so I think they could probably get away with this whole licensing ammunition thing. I think they could probably get away with it if there were things in place for people to obtain. But right now, there's no way in place to even get the license to sell ammo. So I would love, as bad as it would be for that person, I would love for someone to actually get caught up in this and take this all the way to the Supreme Court, because you can't tell someone you have to have a license to buy ammo but we're not going to give anyone licenses. I
know
you can't do that. That's a blatant violation of the Second Amendment, in my opinion.
It's a blatant violation of everything, including up to and including common sense. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But again, it's these unenforceable laws, and but here's the thing. Usually not the first guy to do it, but somewhere in the first 5-10 people, the government's going to go after him. They're going to try to make an example out of him. It's going to go through the court system. And, obviously the court system there isn't necessarily sympathetic to gun owning or gun related business owners, gun owning individuals and citizens. So, someone's going to pay a price. They really are. Next story, guys. Democrat-backed online gun buy sting backfires. So who heard about
this? Is awesome.
It is kind of awesome. So a Democrat-backed study meant to expose illicit online gun sales instead seemed to show the opposite, with hardly any sellers taking the bait when undercover investigators tried to set up dozens of illegal firearm transactions. Of course, us, not surprised at all, but they basically sent, this is a GAO report, if I recall correctly, and they tried to do a bunch of illegal stuff, and most of the people would not let them do the illegal stuff. So a huge surprise to no one that actually owns guns or, cares about the Second Amendment, right?
Yeah. So basically they tried to, they went undercover in different chat rooms and forums and places on the internet and wanted to buy guns and told the people, hey, but can you just ship it to me? And most people were like, nah, I can't do that. And then if the people were like, yeah, sure, that's fine, they were like, oh, and by the way, I'm a felon. And lo and behold, nobody would send them a gun. Yeah. It's almost like firearms owners are law-abiding citizens or something.
Yeah, and there's 72 attempts outside of the dark web were all unsuccessful. So the dark web, where you can buy, heroin, cocaine, rockets, missiles, whatever, basically anything you possibly want. So everything outside the illegal online black market basically failed. And again, not even remotely surprising. Has anyone actually seen from the other side of this, anyone crowing about this report or saying that it's inaccurate or anything like that?
Nope.
Me either. All right. Well, we said that Springfield released a SIG. Well, now SIG has released the P365, and I don't know if you guys are excited about this, but it actually seems kind of cool. It's a really tiny handgun, just 1 inch thick. It is a double stack, holds 10+1, or you can put the mag extension on that holds 12+1. Pretty interesting. A lot of people are poo-pooing it, but I watched some videos about it, and I'll definitely shoot it at SHOT Show. I think this is going to sell like bonkers. Johnny, what do you think?
I think it's a SIG, and SIG people will eat it up.
Yeah, it's a SIG that doesn't even really look like a SIG.
Yep.
It doesn't have the decocker and the hammer and all kinds of other crazy nonsense on it. It's a SIG that looks very utilitarian, similar to other polymer pistol makers that we know.
Well, like the P250.
Yeah.
The SIG P250 is what it reminds me a lot of.
But that's a hammer-fired gun, and this being striker.
And this is striker.
Yeah. It is striker, yeah. But I think people are going to buy it. It's amazingly small, which means that it's probably going to be horrifyingly uncomfortable to shoot for most people.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but it'll work when it needs to work.
Exactly.
But being a 10-round gun, it's probably right about Glock 26 size, I assume.
It is very
like
similar.
that?
Yes, it is very similar.
Yeah.
It's really close to a Taurus. I saw a meme that was kind of funny, but
oh, that's cute. No, so I have a Glock 26. It's not terrible to shoot. It's not a lot of people are comparing this to the Shield and the Glock 43, and there's just no way I can see it being that thin, having a 10-round capacity. But as you start looking at the Glock 26 size, which is also a 10 or 12-round gun, I can't remember. They're not terrible to shoot. They're by no means compact size, but it's going to be interesting. I saw a funny comment in one of my private groups that said that the only thing higher than our marketing team is our bore axis. And I thought that was kind of comical, but I don't know. I'm kind of interested in this. I like this.
Anyone else, anything to add there?
I mean, I'm looking forward to shooting it, right? I won't get to do that for a while, but I'm looking forward to shooting it. And SIG was my first gun, so I have a bit of a, a soft spot in my heart, even though it's definitely not my favorite gun to shoot, but there's just fond memories. So I'll give it a go.
Definitely. All right, so moving into a little bit of depressing news. We haven't talked about this on this show yet. A Denver deputy was killed, 6 injured by a barricaded suspect. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, so I don't want to rehash a whole ton of it, but killer was a law school graduate with no criminal history. Colorado police were warned of killer's mental health a month before it happened. It just so turns out that this individual did training at a place that I have trained a bunch and worked here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And no one really said that he seemed out of place. Like, I really trust the instructor. I work for him. I work with him. I work for him. It's someone who's very close to me, and he's been to multiple classes at this. So, I was talking to someone and I said, would you feel guilty if you were the instructor that had trained this guy, and then this guy goes out and becomes a maniac and murders innocent people? And they said, yeah, I think I probably would. And I kind of turned that back and I was like, I don't feel like I'm responsible. If I was a driving instructor and someone got hammered and ran over a family in the intersection, I wouldn't feel responsible for that either. What do you guys think about that?
Yes. No, I know what you're saying. I do. I'm an instructor also, and I think about this sometimes. But I'm with you. You really can't. I think if it happened, I'd feel pretty terrible. But you really can't. I do the best I can to vet everybody that comes to my classes. That's really all you can do. I mean, bad people do bad things. Sometimes good people snap and do bad things. So
yeah,
there's no way to completely make this stop.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I know that the guy who owns the training company here was pretty torn up about it. And look, it sucks. I mean, we had one of our cops die here, one of the guys who's out there fighting the good fight, and it really does stink. But I don't think that my friend holds any responsibility for that. He was just teaching him how to exercise his Second Amendment right. He was teaching him how to be a better shooter, how to be a safer shooter, how to be a more effective shooter. And this guy used it for evil. It's like it's the old movie trope. Person goes in, turns to the dark side, and, becomes the Sith. And
I have a feeling that if he had any flags about this guy being, doing what he's done, he probably would have turned him in or stopped, right?
Without question.
So, he's going to feel super guilty. Sorry, my little guy. he's going to feel super guilty because he's a human and he's got a heart, and that just shows his own personal character. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's no way that he could have known, and sounds like you know him well enough that he probably would have done the right thing had he known.
Oh, without question. Yeah.
So
not even a doubt to me. Yeah.
It's beyond heartbreaking, and I really feel for the guy because he'll have to live with it forever, but it's not on him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's on him at all by any means. All right, that was pretty depressing. Pro-gun control groups donate 6 times more cash to or candidates than gun rights groups. This actually doesn't surprise me either. I mean, we know Bloomberg's out there. We know Bloomberg's pushing this money constantly to suppress our rights and suppress the Second Amendment and suppress all, anything he doesn't agree with. But 6 times more cash, that number is a little bit surprising. I figured it was more, but it's surprisingly more.
Well, and that's Oregon, right?
Yeah, Oregon, yeah.
Yeah, so, that when it comes to NRA and other gun rights groups, because I was reading this article and I thought, man, shoot, we really need to step it up, because yes, we do. I mean, that's true. It's actually one of the reasons I still feel compelled to live in California, despite everything that we go through as gun owners, because, you really do have to stand up. And there's so many loyal firearms activists here in California. And there are in Oregon as well. I don't think in the article it talked about exactly who, how that map worked out, like how it played out in terms of winning. But in terms of the donations, I know that having worked with the NRA just a little bit and having conversations with folks that really know what they're doing in terms of the map and the chessboard that it is, they pay very close attention to what the strategic wins, right? It's one of the reasons they didn't really put any effort into California. Instead, they went for the national presidential election, and that ended up paying off for them. And we may actually get reciprocity out of it, which I know you guys probably already covered. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, we always need to do everything that we possibly can do at our our courthouse, or I'm sorry, at our state houses, and then obviously on the federal level. But I was thinking through it, and like, there's a reason, there's a big picture going on here too. You know what I mean? And it is the chessboard, and there are a lot of people working very hard on this every single day who know what they're talking about. And I think it's largely the reason that we ended up with President Trump, to tell you the truth.
All right. Yeah. Excellent points. Anyone else have anything to add there? Drunk man found with weapons cache on Houston Hyatt Regency's top floor before New Year's Eve celebration, police say. Houston man was arrested on multiple charges after police found a stash of guns, including an AR-15, in his room early Sunday at the top of the Hyatt Regency, ahead of the downtown hotel's massive New Year's Eve celebration, authorities said. Basically got into an argument with security downstairs because he had drank too much. They tried to escort him back to his room. When they opened the door, they noticed that there was ammunition on the hotel room floor. So I don't know. Doesn't really say much about this, whether he had plans or anything. But after Las Vegas, I think, having any kind of displayed firearm, ammunition, any other thing in a hotel is going to be bad news for you.
Did we ever figure out what happened in Las Vegas?
Not a thing, which is the weirdest thing of it. After the Boston bombing, we knew everything about them in 24 hours. We still know nothing about Las Vegas, but I don't know.
Let me grab my tinfoil hat.
I don't know. We talked about a story recently where a guy had an AR-15 in his hotel room. I think it was actually airsoft, if I recall correctly. Ended up getting shot by the police because he went back to pull his pants up, or what it went back to pull his pants up. We see this now. We talked about how a hotel in Vegas is going to be doing some microwave scanning to detect concealed carry weapons, or concealed guns, I should say. I think this is one of the big reasons we haven't heard much about Vegas, honestly, just because there's going to be so many lawsuits flying from everyone and everywhere that everyone's playing it pretty close to the vest, trying to make sure that they have one up on everyone else. It's, the hotel against the police, against the concert goers, against everyone else. And I think that that's why we haven't heard a whole lot. But honestly, at this point, having guns in hotels seems a little bit dangerous to me. And I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm just going to be really cautious.
I don't know. I was going to say not having guns in hotels.
It's a sensational piece on some level. I'm not saying it's cool. I'm not saying it's good. I realize that it's a scary situation we're in. But they're saying that it's an arsenal, and it's not an arsenal. It's 3 guns, and all of us have. I mean, how many? I've got 3 guns sitting right there, and so part of this is Vegas, and part of it's just the media, because it sells more, gets more clicks to say an arsenal and a stash found. It was an AR, a shotgun, and a pistol. You know,
So
I've got
3-gun competitor.
yeah, he had a competition. He was carb loading for it.
Yeah, and thank you for pointing that out. It is absolutely true. Just absolutely ridiculous. Arsenals and so much ammunition. Yeah,
I'm curious how you guys think this is going to play out at SHOT, because look, you're supposed to, at least at the, I think at like the Bellagio and, and the 2 hotels that, that SHOT Show's based at, I am wondering, you're supposed to check in your gun, right? But how many people really do that? How many people say, hey, I've got a gun? P.S. My husband does this and I love him so much, so much. But I am like, dude, why? Anyway, that's probably more than I should say. But anyway, he's over there, by the way.
I think.
But all that to say that, really, how many people? There are just so many people that are not, like, special ops guys are just not going to check their guns in at the, at the front desk and
Nor
down.
should they?
Right, down in let it go into the vault in the bowels of the Bellagio. It's just not.
I know Brad Pitt will get in there. I know how it works.
Yes, yeah, I saw that movie.
I
did.
I saw that movie. I saw that documentary.
That was what it was.
Yep.
Training. You just got to have the little Asian guy that can fit in the little, in the little cart. That's the
Grease
important.
man.
Right. Anyway, what do you guys think is going to happen? How do you think that's going to play out? Like,
here's what's going to play out. A crap ton of people are going to descend upon that city and sprinkle gold and cash everywhere. And they're going to be glad to have SHOT Show there.
Agreed. Do you think
Follow the money.
Do you think there's going to be some kind of, or any kind of protest things like that? I think there will.
Like 7 people with a sign?
Yeah, just like most anti-gun protests.
Dozens of people.
Literally.
yeah. Yeah, don't they do that every time? And you look out the window and go, wait, where are they? Where are they? And they're like, yeah, like not even 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's going to be some protests, and honestly, it might make SHOT Show a little bit more interesting. Be able to talk to some people that I wouldn't normally have the opportunity to speak with, and just see where that goes. But yeah, hotels. I always take a firearm with me to Las Vegas. They don't. Obviously, I haven't done anything horrible with it, and I never intend to do anything horrible with it. I take them. They live in my room, my rental car, wherever I'm at. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, I think SHOT Show is typically the safest week of the year in Vegas.
Right. Well, except for the whole, Ebola.
Right. I didn't say it wasn't a biohazard.
It is, and it totally scares me. So Walther recalls the CCP, says it's not drop safe. This is like the new big thing now. Everything drop safe. Everyone seems to be redoing their testing. And, standards hopefully are going to be rewritten a little bit. How big of a concern do we actually think that this is at this point? And I'd like to kind of go through the panel. Johnny, I'm going to start with you. Like, drop safety, it's the hot button topic right now. Should it be?
All Walther is doing is they are getting ahead from the marketing standpoint, PR standpoint. They're just getting ahead of the curve a little bit. How big of a deal is it from a marketing standpoint? If you are in the PR department of a firearm, yeah, you better get ahead of that, because people go stinking wild on the internet. Am I worried about it? I, knock on wood, have never dropped a firearm. What idiot is dropping their firearm anyway? So how many times are going to have to do it to get it to go off? Now, am I going to go buy a 320? Probably not tomorrow. So I think it's interesting. I think it's strange days we're living in.
I agree. Jeremy, thoughts?
Well, if the marketing and PR ups the sales and people roll with it, might not agree with it, but more power to them, right?
All right. That's fair. Natalie?
Anything that makes a gun safer, I'm just not going to oppose. I think that's great. Well, to some extent, like I don't think the biometric stuff I think is crap, obviously, right. But with like I think this is, Walther's good faith attempt to get ahead of a Remington meltdown, Remington style meltdown. Like they had about 10 years ago. Was it 10? Something like that. But anyway, I don't know. I'm all for it. Good on them.
I agree. Zane?
I think guns should be drop safe.
Are you there or are you muted?
I am here. Can you hang on?
I'll sing a song while you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you there.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I think guns should be drop safe. That said, I don't think you should drop your guns if you can avoid it. So for years, what we told people to do was, when on the range or whatever, if there's an issue and the gun goes to fall, let it fall. Don't reach out and try to grab it, because trying to grab it, fingers inevitably get inside triggers and they go bang. So now it's like, well, maybe not. So yeah, I think, like has previously been said, they're trying to get ahead of this, which I think is the best decision, is to get ahead of it instead of like other companies have done and just been like, oh, well, we'll do a voluntary upgrade, but it's not a problem. So
yeah, agreed. I
think
mean,
it's the right move.
Sig knew about them, and Sig apparently knew about them. And did the voluntary upgrade, didn't do a recall. I understand there's business decisions behind that, but the optics of it to us on the outside seem a little questionable. Honor Guard, they basically just tried to impugn the person who was reporting it, and seems to be ahead of that curve, and I think that's a great thing. I've talked about this on multiple shows. The specs, or I'm sorry, the standards that we have for drop safety testings might be a little bit lacking, but don't forget that those standards are basically made up by industry insiders. And again, I'm not even saying that it's necessarily a bad thing that they didn't do it. They just said, okay, well, let's get some engineers in a room. Let's figure out what the drop safety standards should be. And then let's all test to those voluntarily. That's kind of what it is. I think at this point, it's fairly obvious that we need to revisit those because we're seeing some problems. Yes, I don't think I've ever dropped my gun, but I've seen it happen. I don't think that the person who did it was irresponsible. I think just, a series of unfortunate events led to that. No one got injured because the gun didn't go off. I think that's important. And I think that, again, I agree. I think Walther is doing a great job, and I hope to see more companies, if they find them, fixing them. All right. Let's see. I'll tell you what, why don't we just move into the I'm offended segment? Anyone have any stories in here that really, really caught their eye?
In what regards? What are you looking for?
Just, we don't necessarily cover all these stories, but I'll tell you the one that caught my eye. Mother of Popeye's chicken robber questions why he had to be shot 5 times.
Yeah, because he was robbing the Popeye's chicken. Next story.
Yes, exactly. He was robbing a Popeye's chicken, and we don't shoot to kill. We shoot to end the threat. That's what it took for the person to end the threat. This always just is crazy. Like, why was your son robbing the Popeye's chicken? That's the question.
Sorry, ma'am. Your son was robbing the place, and he needed to be put down. He got put down. Sorry, he got shot 5 times, but that's what it took.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, but she's probably seen something about, someone sued for. No, well, you know what happened? Brady Center or somebody came in and said, hey, this looks like excessive force. You could get some money out of this or whatever. And that's probably where it came from, because the lady wasn't thinking, why 5? Why 5 rounds? I think.
It's, reasonable person. We talk about that in concealed carry classes. What would a reasonable person with my level of training and my situation reasonably do? And I'll tell you what, 5 rounds, absolutely. If that's what it takes to stop the threat, that's what it takes.
Yeah, he didn't empty the mag.
Exactly.
I can fire 5 rounds from the holster in under 2 seconds. That's not a lot of time.
Do you have to beat the girls off?
Humble brag.
Those are some serious stats, bro. Well, are they lined up right off camera?
Well, I mean, I do, but that's another story. But no, seriously, that's not a lot of time. Like five rounds it's not like he was like shooting for 30 minutes at the guy. Like, he shot till the guy decided he had better places to be or went down to the ground.
I guess a better question would be, why not 10 rounds?
Yeah.
It didn't take 10 rounds. It only took 5.
Yeah.
I think the bottom line is none of us were there. We have no idea what we're talking about. We're talking about times and how long and how many shots. The real story here is freaking Popeye's chicken. It's amazing. Have y'all had that stuff? That's the real story.
I haven't had it in years and years.
Oh my gosh. It's chicken fried.
Johnny, would you is it good enough to actually rob it or to steal it?
I'd shoplift it. Absolutely.
All right. I love it.
How about Chicago? Oh, yeah. Were you about to go to Chicago?
I absolutely was. Why don't you talk about it?
Oh man. Well, it's just so, have you seen that viral video from the UK about all the cops, they're like, there's one perp and then there are like 10 quote, air quotes cops surrounding him. And every time the perp kind of, moves forward, the cops all move away. This is what this headline reminds me of. It reminds me of, these poor Chicago cops who are badasses, by the way. Like, I know Chicago cops, they're really impressive people that have to deal with a lot of corruption. And I feel like their hands are tied behind their backs,
Without question.
Anyway, it's just so frustrating. I mean, it's like micro UK over there,
The headline is Chicago PD's restrict taser use against fleeing suspects. The reason? Because they might get hurt.
Right.
I really like that Natalie's. Go ahead, Zane.
No, I was gonna say, have you ever seen someone face plant because they took a taser to the back? Like, this is absolutely true. You can get hurt by being tased by fleeing, but I mean, at the same time,
don't care.
Whatever.
Johnny, what were you gonna say?
I just like that Natalie's using perp in a sentence. I feel like I'm on Law and Order.
I've been studying for law school, y'all. That's where it comes from.
Perp. I like it.
Suspect. Should I have said suspect?
No, I like perp. Keep it.
I like perp. Yeah, I think we
keep perp.
I do live in LA, so where all these shows are shot. Maybe that's where it comes from.
I love it. It is much preferable to me. But yeah, some of these stories, I don't know. Angry woman tweets $20,000 offer for anyone to assassinate Trump. Yeah, I mean, that's not going to go over well.
Did she get how long did it take for the Secret Service to call her? That's what I want to know. Was it 30 seconds or what? Just how long?
I wish it said in the story because it doesn't. But yeah, it had to have been pretty dang quick. And then she's going to be on the news, like, why 5 years? I just, I don't get it. That she's definitely going to be in trouble. That's for dang sure. Before we do the last story, why don't you guys just take a look down there in the full auto news segment while I talk about our advertisers, the Patriot Patch Company, ran by our good friend and, just basically one of the best dudes ever, Jake Challen. If you want to support Jake, go to the Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co, order some patches, join the Patch of the Month Club. It's well worth it. And Manticore Arms, thank them definitely for supporting not only This Week in Guns, but the Firearms Radio Network as a whole. So go buy stuff there, whether it's stuff for your AR, AK, Scorpion, all kinds of great stuff. Coupon code is TWG10. Now, guys, anything down in the full auto news segment that just caught your eye?
I've been following the story about the father who ended up. It's tragic. It's an awful story. I'm the funny guy, so I'm going to crack a joke eventually, but God, it's awful. I mean, it is the worst day of this dude's life. If y'all haven't followed the story, the kid, I don't think he lived at home. He's 22. He came back to borrow his dad's truck. His dad was out in the shop or something. He said, stop. And the truck sped up. And then he fired a warning shot and then fired into the tailgate of the truck and killed the kid. I mean, it's awful. It's bad. And my first thought when I read the story yesterday was, what's going through your mind of, hey, dummy, somebody's stealing my vehicle. I'm going to shoot my own vehicle. But then I thought he's just a dude like all of us or a dudette. And he probably was scared or out of his mind. It's just a bad, bad day. And what's a shame is the left or the gun people are going to take it and run with it when it's really just a tragedy. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. So my heart broke with that story.
I agree.
Now, so I've been following this story too. So this is one of those deals to where if you follow basic firearm safety, this wouldn't be a problem. One of our firearm safety rules that we preach is know your target and what lies beyond it. So this guy, and the story keeps calling this an accidental shooting. No, this guy drew a sight picture and pressed the trigger and shot a person. This is not an accident. This is not negligence.
So you're saying involuntary manslaughter?
Absolutely.
You would prosecute this dude for shooting his son?
Absolutely. You don't shoot at what you have not identified. And if someone he obviously his life is not in danger. The vehicle's driving away. There's no threat to this guy's life. No, absolutely. This is pure ego is all this is. Now, it sucks that he shot his own kid and he's not going to be charged, doesn't look like, which I have a feeling shooting your own child is worse than what any jury could hand out to you. But no, this is pure someone who doesn't have training, who has not. No, nope. You don't shoot at an unknown, and you don't shoot at something that's not a threat to you.
So Johnny, I'm definitely sympathetic to this guy. Like, I can't even possibly imagine in Colorado he would be prosecuted. We are not allowed to defend property with lethal force. We can apply physical force, whatever that means.
Well, he's going to be prosecuted in most states. I get that. He'd be prosecuted here. That's different than Zane saying, yeah, he should be prosecuted and serve jail time. Here, he'd be prosecuted and they would send him home probably with a box of Kleenexes and tell him not to kill himself because that dude's got a long road ahead.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he should serve jail time. What I'm saying is he made a poor decision. He absolutely made a poor decision.
I agree with that. And you said he should be prosecuted, though.
Well, yeah, I think he should be.
You can't say both. You can't say he should be prosecuted, but he shouldn't serve jail time.
If it wasn't his son, if this was someone else who stole the vehicle, if it's someone who truly stole the vehicle and he was shooting at a person fleeing, should he not be prosecuted?
I think it's a bad situation all the way around. He never should have pulled out his gun over a piece of metal.
Right. So in Florida, we can protect property with deadly force.
Yeah, but if it's going down the road, can you?
But that's what I was going to say. Once it's stolen and it's leaving, at that point, it's not a forcible felony anymore. You can only protect when it's a forcible felony. So if it's, while that's taking place. Once the theft has taken place, it's no longer a forcible felony. And we can argue whether that's right or wrong, and we should be able to shoot people who steal our stuff all day. That's not the point. The point is, if you have not identified what you're trying to shoot at, you probably shouldn't shoot at it.
I agree.
I can agree on that one.
Good job, Jeremy. Got that. That's good. Hydrate, bro. Hydrate.
I gotta tell you, Zane is a very knowledgeable guy. I'm just kind of sitting back and listening to this. This has been interesting.
Water. You didn't actually have to join the call to listen to it. It's on a podcast. Just giving you some. Well, gosh, I can't cuss on the show. It's so weird. Let's wrap this up, guys. Before we go, I want to give you guys a chance to, I want our listeners to get to know you guys. Johnny, tell our listeners what you do and where they can find you.
I'm with 180-second ideas. I do fast gun stuff. I have a lot of fun. I do gun gossip, which is the one a lot of folks are talking about. And I just have fun. I do it really, really quickly. It's on YouTube, 180-second ideas. And that's all I have to say. Love you guys.
That was like 20 seconds. I mean,
it's pretty good.
Yeah. You should start a YouTube channel called 20-second ideas.
Thanks. I'm writing that down right now.
Thank you. If you would like to hear more from Johnny, he was just on the We Like Shooting show on the Firearms Radio Network a couple episodes ago. And yeah, one of my favorite YouTube channels, one of my favorite people.
Oh, stop you.
You sent me a unicorn via text a few minutes ago. You know I love it.
I love that purple unicorn.
Jeremy, how about you?
We are just working our ass off with Grizzly and doing what it is that we've been doing for the last 10 months since I got my hands 100% around the company, which is just being very strategic and very committed and very disciplined and really putting some really incredible partnerships together and just absolutely working my ass off. I apologize. I'm freaking absolutely exhausted. I've probably put in like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 16-hour days in a row with this insane event that we decided to put on together. And yeah, that's basically it. That's what my life is these days. The same as always, just working.
It's awesome, man. I can't wait to hang out. We are doing a Firearms Radio Network, We Like Shooting and Grizzly Targets listener meetup. Going to be a lot of industry people there, going to be listeners. This is going to be at Bugsy's Bar in the Flamingo. This is going to be Wednesday, the 24th.
Yeah, I believe so. Wednesday, and here's the other cool thing is freaking Crazy Horse got a hold of me. And they liked the way that I pitched that, where I was like, no pretentious nonsense, none of this invite only, oh, you weren't invited. Just like, I never threw a party like that. I always hated people that threw parties like that, right? Like, if you tell me I'm not invited, then I'm definitely coming in, okay? So the way that we framed it on there, they got a hold of me too. So Caesars was like, this is awesome. We'll officially back it. You guys can plan on us backing this with you every single year. I said, cool.
Wow.
And Crazy Horse got a hold of us and we're like, that's freaking awesome. So they said, anybody that comes to that gets free transpo back and forth, free drinks, yada, yada, all that kind of good stuff. And we're getting a lot more people that are coming on board that are local to Las Vegas that said, holy shit. So sorry, I cursed again. Holy cow, you guys are throwing an after party that's actually right there on the strip that's open to everybody, like, yeah, that's great. And that's, I'll be honest with you, that's the whole entire concept of everything that we're doing. Like, we're a target company. We're a support company, right? So that's what we're supposed to do, is support the training, support the industry, blah, 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 all that stuff. That's what we're doing. It's just more of the same. And it's going to be pretty cool, man. We've got a lot. I think we've got at least, I mean, you guys have basically taken over the whole Wednesday night. But Tuesday night and Thursday night, we've got a full lineup of radio, podcast, individuals, and all this other stuff too. So it's kind of going to turn into like an after hours Radio Row almost, which I think is going to be really cool. So, and here's the thing too, you got freaking 60,000 people that come into a freak, because I talked to the organizers of SHOT Show. I'm like, what do you guys do for an after party or a gathering? Oh, we don't do anything. I said, well, where's the central location where you can find out who's doing what? Well, nobody really does that because they don't want everybody knowing about it.
Right. There's a lot.
I was like, you know what? I was like, yeah. I was like, the hell with it. And I've been to a lot of them, and most of them suck. Honestly, you walk into a freaking stuffy suite. It's like 25 dudes and some chick that somebody hired, right? and like, you're afraid to step on somebody's toes in there or something, you know? So
I'm losing IQ points as this goes along. So that's that. Don't get me started on all that stuff. You're gonna get me all worked up. I gotta go to sleep in like a half an hour.
All right, man. I'll let you get to it. Natalie, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you come back.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I really apologize for being late. Thanks for understanding. So fun to get to connect with y'all for the first time. I'm no stranger to Firearms Radio Network, but glad to meet you guys for the first time.
Yes, me too.
And
just in case you're not aware what happened, I murdered Jake. I took over the Firearms Radio Network, and that's basically what happened.
Wow, so all those emails that I've been getting from him are just like, they're you? Is that
It's a ghost account.
Yeah.
It's a ghost account.
Ghost account, got it. I tragically am missing for the first time in 8 years. Is my video down, by the way?
It is.
Yes.
Dang it. Okay, that is so annoying because I put on makeup.
Oh.
It's like, really? Anyway, yeah, so I am not muted on my video. I don't know why on my side. I don't know what's going on, so I apologize. But tragically, for the first time in 8 years, I will not make it to SHOT Show because I will be in the recovery room from my second child is due on the first day of SHOT Show.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, no, it's great, but I'm gonna miss it, and I'm hearing about all this. It's another boy.
Have him at SHOT.
I mean, right? He would be very, very excited about that, I think, in years to come. So,
you have a name yet?
it is hotly debated in our household at the moment.
I recommend Johnny is a
to the listeners. That should be interesting.
I know, yeah. You guys chime in and vote.
I agree. I say go with Johnny 180. That should be first and middle
Johnny
name.
180. I will tell you that for a time, it's no longer on the table, but for a time, Barrett was on the table. Which is, a very Texas name, and I am a 7th generation Texan displaced in California. So William Barrett Travis was what we were going to name him after. And
That's presidential.
yeah, right. I think so. But anyway, it's no longer on the table. And I thought maybe it was a little too on the nose, having worked in the firearms industry for so many years. And plus, my first son's name is Hunter, so I don't know. It was probably a little too on the nose, but I still kind of, who knows? Maybe the third kid will be named Barrett. But anyway, so yeah. And hey, check out my show. We've got on NRA Women. So at NRA TV and NRAwomen.tv is it's called Love at First Shot, and it's great for first time shooters. If there's any, it's obviously very geared towards women and, women who are just now getting into the shooting sports. We've really got something for for women at all different skill levels. So, and that's what we really try to cater to, but I'm really proud of my little show, and check it out if you get a second. Even the guys.
Natalie, whoever the hell is in charge at NRA TV of programming, can you please email me and give me, I must have emailed 25 freaking people over there and called 100 more over the last 6 months, and nobody know. You call headquarters. And
Please
All
send
right.
me something because I'm going to lose it. Half of them hate me at this point.
I bet listeners are really loving this.
Natalie has homework.
We can talk offline. I'll get you back.
Tales from customer service.
And Zane, real quick, where can people find you?
People can find me on the interwebs, all over the interwebs. No, I'm one of the co-hosts on the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review podcast. I write reviews for firearmsinsider.tv. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We're probably on Twitter. I don't know.
Perfect.
People can find me personally. Usually I think it's facebook.com/Zane2A. I don't know. It's my instructor page where I host classes and stuff. But
trust me, I've been getting emails about your guys' last show all week. I'll talk to you offline. This Week in Guns is produced by Kenny Ortega and is a production of the Firearms Radio Network. We'll see you next week, guys. And thanks to all my amazing panelists for being here tonight.
down.